Hi, this is GL1526, but you can call me Jill. Welcome to the Gunpla Lair. In this review, we'll be looking at the HG kits of the Tickbalang and Zowort. The Tickbalang is a sub-flight system, while the Zowort is a grunt suit, both introduced in the Witch from Mercury anime. Both were released in February of 2023. The feedback for both kits are generally positive as far as I've seen. Some even call the Zowort the best grunt suit. Well, how do they measure up? Do they live up to the hype? Okay, let's start with the aesthetics. Both designed by Wataru Inata, these machines give off that armored core flair, making them unique within the Witch from Mercury series and the Gundam franchise as a whole. The general shape of the Tikbalang resembles that of the aircraft in the said game franchise, having similar angles and shape design. On the overall look, it's pretty much just an aircraft, only flattened for a mobile suit to step on. Of course, for both AC and Gundam, the mechs are more prevalent, so it's easier to see similarities in design philosophy on the Zowort. The overall silhouette follows the general proportions of the armored core mechs. The torso is broad, tapering to a narrow waist. It also looks like the nose or front part of an aircraft, just compacted. This is more pronounced when viewed from the top. The backpack spans the whole width of the chest, with a pair of thrusters attached to each side. The waist unit is narrow and does not have any sort of skirting, which is uncommon among Gundams, but is, you guessed it, standard among armored core. Looking at the head, the shape is also characteristically armored core, with its general shape and how it's recessed into the torso. The placement of the arms on the torso gives a broad look to the mech, enhancing the overall silhouette. The legs sport similar placement, making the hip area widen out. Both sets of limbs are on the skinny side. I personally like this contrast where the upper parts have curved, kind of organic shapes, and the lower ones are a bit more polygonal. For colors, the Tikbalang pretty much just has grays, or heavily desaturated blues to be more accurate. Then you get little touches of bright colors, with these yellow chevron shapes on the platform, the blue sensors, and the red and green position lights. The Zowort on the other hand makes use of a triad color harmony, green, blue, and orange. I like how they use a big medium small design philosophy when applying these colors. Majority of the mobile suit is green. The blue is used in strategic places to break up or accent the green parts. The orange is used only on the head visor. The execution of the color harmony is great as well. The green is almost desaturated with high lightness. The blue is also low in saturation but low brightness, with the small orange part the only one that is saturated and bright. In terms of accessories, the Tikbalang doesn't really have any. That's not a bad thing though. More on that later. For the Zowort, there's not much. Just a beam gun and beam sabers. Well, it doesn't really need much, being a grunt suit and all, but some alternative expressive hands would have been nice. What it has works well enough though. The beam gun hinges open so you can slip it into the hand easily. No disassembly needed. The magazine is removable. One beam saber handle is stored on each forearm. If you want to use it, simply detach, put on the effect part, and slip it onto the hand. It can easily slip out though, so keep that in mind. Being a support vehicle, the Tikbalang doesn't have a lot of movement, but what it does have are pretty nice. You can pull these parts of the platform out and then adjust the angles of the footrest for a mobile suit to step on. You can raise these grips with convenient tabs to easily pull them out for a mobile suit to hold onto. You can change the position of the vectored nozzles. The ones on the back have the greatest range of motion, tilting up and down. The ones on the side can only move slightly. On the underside is another pair of grips designed for a mobile suit to hang from, also with tabs, but they can be tricky to pull out. Now this is the feature that sets the Tikbalang apart from other sub-flight system kits, the landing gear. They are all built in. You can deploy them without any parts forming. I'd say this is my favorite thing about this kit. This is what I was talking about when I said that the Tikbalang having no separate accessories is not a bad thing. Having it all built into the kit makes things more convenient. The one on the front simply swings out with a bit of a click to let you know it's in position. For the ones on the rear, you swing them out until the wheels are horizontal, and then slide them into position to lock them in. Now you have the landing gear deployed. Lastly, you can slide this part out to reveal a slot for connecting an action base. Now moving on to the Zowort. The head movement can be tricky due to the recessed position, but it's not that limiting once you get the hang of it. The head tilts from here to here. You can move it slightly forward as the neck is a double ball joint. You can rotate the head a full 360, but you need to tilt it to the side to access this movement. There is a torso crunch, a bit of side-to-side tilt, and a bit of twisting. This front waist armor part can tilt a bit. The arm raises about this far, do a complete rotation, and swing forward and backward like so. The upper arm can rotate a full 360. The elbow hinges up to this point. The hand rotates and tilts on a ball joint. For the legs, frontward kick, pretty high. Backward, limited to this point by these back waist armor. Sideways kick, this far. The thigh can rotate up to this point. Knee bend is pretty decent. The ankle tilts forward pretty far. Backwards, not as much. It tilts side to side about this far before this part clashes with the armor. The front of the foot can point downwards for those aerial poses. The heel is just static. This ankle armor is on a ball joint and can be adjusted like so. For the backpack, these vector boosters have a good range of rotation. Combining these movements, the Zowort can pose pretty well, and pull off pretty much any pose you could want, unless they're full-on contortion stuff, I guess. Building the Tickbalang is simple and user-friendly. The part count is pretty low. It is a quick build, and that's within expectations for a support vehicle. Most of the build is dedicated to setting up the moving parts on the main body. After that, it's just a matter of closing up the two biggest parts and attaching the external parts, such as the tail and wings. Some color separation are done via foil stickers. Most are pretty nice, situated on recessed and flat parts. The worst ones are the navigation lights, as they need to fold and wrap around. They're small enough so might not be a big issue. They're relatively easy enough to touch up with markers or paint. The Zowort also doesn't have any advanced assembly method, coming together quickly. Nearly every part fits into the assembly one way, and so would not fit if not correctly oriented, so it's hard to make mistakes in the connection. There is some application of layering on the legs where the armor part has a hole for the frame part underneath to poke out of. Part separation is sufficient without any sticker sheet, though you can paint the inside of the vector boosters to enhance the appearance. The torso and legs have full inner frames. This may come in handy for battle damage customizations and the like. This also helps make the kit feel solid when handling. The visor on the head has some detailed part underneath. If you want to paint this, for example, something reflective like chrome silver, you can do so without any modifications. Another notable thing is the mechanism on the arm that holds the beam saber handle. It is locked by default. If you want to, you can trim this little part of the forearm frame to allow the mechanism to move. This is a no polycap build. The joints have a good balance between mobility and stiffness. You can move them easily enough, but they hold the pose you put them on firmly. Overall, both these kits offer a simple building experience without much bells and whistles. Even if such makes you bored, the assembly is probably finished before it gets old. So yeah, these kits are good. The Tickbalang is a nice, easy to use sub-flight system, whether you choose to pose the Zowort or other MS on it. And yes, the Zowort is really up there among the best grunt suits. Though like most grunt suits, they've been depicted in numerous cases as cannon fodder in the anime. It had great moments too. In kit form, it's nothing short of awesome. Is it the best? Well, I have a bias towards Saku and Leos, but yes, the Zowort might objectively deserve that crown. It is well engineered, simple to build, and fun to play with. Low price too, so this kit is a good candidate for an army build. So yeah, especially when considering their price point, I'd recommend these kits. Whether you get each on its own or get them to be displayed together, I think you won't be disappointed. Now, is it better to get them both? I'd say yes. The Zowort only has a few weapons and the Tickbalang serves as an additional accessory, opening up a lot more options when posing and displaying. Of course, you'll be paying for two HG kits, But think of it like the HGC Infinite Justice Gundam. That's pretty much an MS and SFS kit in one. Yes, the total price point for the Tickbalang and Zowort is higher than a single HG Infinite Justice. But the SFS part of the Justice is smaller and less elaborate than the Tickbalang. There's that. That said, this still depends on what's more important to you. If you like the Zoworts' looks and army building potential, you can forego the Tickbalang and get multiple Zoworts instead. On the other hand, if you're not that big of a fan of the Zowort, the Tickbalang works with other MS kits. It's generic, but in a good way. You can display basically any MS kit of similar size to the Zowort. The neutral colors and relatively simple design would not be a distraction. There's also always the option of painting the Tickbalang to match the MS kit that you want to display on it. That is an example use case for getting the Tickbalang by itself. But that's my opinion. What about you? What do you think of the Tickbalang and the Zowort? Have you built them? How's your experience? Or you don't have them yet and this review convinced you to get them? Anyway, let me know in the comments if I missed anything. That's all for me for now. Like the video if this has been informative. If I earned it, please subscribe. Got more reviews coming. And remember, always enjoy building. Bye for now.